Hey guys, welcome to the channel, Sonny here, and we have an absolute banger of a patch. This is so big, it is legitimately game-changing. The Karazad accessories are here, new grind spots in Land of the Morning Light are here, and just as we've been talking a lot about over the last couple of months here on the channel, they tie it in. Legitimately, most of the things we were talking about, hoping for, they're all here. It's looking really good. And quick note, what you see here is Friday Global Lab. Join us at twitch.tv/bprimegaming, where we cover this every single week. Go over it. We've already talked about this for a couple of hours now, deep diving it, looking at numbers. And all of these things should be out Thursday, the 31st of this month. So that would mean 6 days from Friday. This should be out on live globally. If you want to read the entirety of the patch notes, they'll be linked in the description, but let's get straight into it. So the big news is the Karazad accessories. We have here the 4 different types of Karazad accessories: the necklace, the belt, the ring, and the earring. And there are a couple of items that are very important. We'll cover these in detail later on as well. You have the Energy of the Dawn, which you can buy from our vendor. And the uses of this is to extract Essence of Dawn by heating yellow grade accessories. So this is just an item you buy whenever you're heating yellow tits and pin accessories to then get Essence of Dawn. Essence of Dawn is the new big item. This right here is used to make base Karazad. It's used to enhance base Karazads up to enough. There's a separate item for deck enhancements, so that's going to be time gated, meaning that people cannot make deck accessories right out the gate, but people going up to enough, aka Pin Debo tier, will not be time gated. On top of that, you can sell Essence of Dawn on the marketplace. It's also going to be used to crafting new cups and things like that. So it's also used to make some of the new crystals. This here is the new big item. You can get it multiple ways. You can get it from grinding the new grind spots in Land of the Morning Light, which will be covered down below. There's a high-end and a mid-tier spot, and 2 more are coming. And you can also get them by heating yellow, tit, and pin accessories, and also some of the new crystals, which are also droppable in the new grind spots. But more about that later. Next up is these other essences, where you have, these are the new crystals you're going to be making with these essences to give you the accuracy, the DP, evasion, all that. Then you have here the Blackstone of Dawn. This is to make deck accessories. Currently, they are only available by the Dark Rift bosses. So if you have any pin debos, you're going to be converting them into Nuff, which means you're going to be going for deck on those. Keep your Dark Rift up. Make sure you do them. It's currently the only way to get them for going for deck accessories. And if you're not there yet, you still want to do your Dark Rift and acquire these. We don't know if it's 100% drop rate, but if they are, just as an info with the time gating, if these are actually 100% drop rate, then with the numbers we've gotten, it will be around 3 weeks on average to go from Nuff to deck on one accessory. And that is, of course, ignoring the cost of it. That is just the time gate. So this means that people that have been hoarding resources realistically are not going to be making decks right out the gate. It might be a couple of months before even the richest, most geared people are sitting with the full decks, unlike with the sovereign weapons. Right, here is the stats. Everything about this is what they told us. They go up 1 AP per level, except a necklace goes up 2 AP per level. That's also accuracy. And the earring is interesting because for the earring, it goes up from base to pry, 1 AP, no AP. So there's a couple of levels here on the earring that doesn't give AP because there's 3 levels, right, from pin to oct, but there's only 2 AP on tit to pin debo. So you will have some levels here that gives you just accuracy, but not the AP, until you get up to the oct level, which gives you 1 AP for Nuff and 1 for deck. So those are the stats here. Everything pretty much as expected. There is one thing that is different though, and that is they removed, which we knew, the set bonus of AP from debos. They said they were going to put a 4 hidden AP item bonus on it. That is gone. But it's back in a different way, and this is honestly better. I'll cover that in a bit when we get down to the crystals. So you can still convert your Tet debos into a pin Karazad, and your pin debos, which are oct in stats, converts into a Nuff. And this is good when we look at the value a bit later. We have a spreadsheet on the math on it. So you can craft these. How do you get the bases? Well, the bases, you need 50 Essence of Dawn, the item we covered a bit earlier. That's also used to upgrade and enhance them. 300 magical shards, and then 1 base dippo, depending on which one you're making. So it's all the same recipe, only difference is the base dippo you're making to make the base Karazad. Overall, fairly cheap and very easy. And it also means that people will be able to make this relatively quick. It's not an in-game progression. This is going to be something people are going to be starting out almost right after season. The big question, of course, how do you get these essence? Whenever you're making the Dipperaka, you also get this crystal here, which is a 4 hidden AP. There's going to be 3 different crystals. There's going to be the Bun, 1, and Gens. The Gens are the big ones. This is for the AP crystals. It's for the accuracy, DR, evasion, all of those crystals, the BSR as well. 3 different tiers. Gens are the best. So you get one automatically when you're converting a dippo. You do not get one when you make the bases. However, it's very easy making them. It costs you 30 Essence of Dawn to make the best version of the crystal, which is very, very affordable. And it's just 3 versions. You can also make the smaller one, and you can reconvert them back to Essence. So if you're progressing, I think it's 5 Essence to make the 2 AP crystal, which is the lowest one. And then you can reheat that crystal and get your essence back whenever you are at a point where it's worth going for the higher tier crystals. So there's a direct correlation between this. You're not wasting stats, you're not wasting resources. So people progressing will be able to get the best bang for the buck at every stage without making mistakes. It's not like now where you have to be, then you tax yourself, you buy something. They are all easily convertible and sellable on the marketplace. So it's really nice. You're not going to be making a mistake here. You do the quest over here with this guy, and Karazad accessory enhancing rules. The TLDR is what we expected. They go up to deck, and they work exactly like weapons and armors. It is 20 durability on loss when you fail. They don't explode. They are repaired with memory fragments, by the way. If you cron, they don't downgrade. If you don't cron, they will downgrade. And the cron costs are very good. They really heard the feedback about people complaining about cron stones, and they're finally pushing back in terms of distribution of value between materials and crons. I'll cover that in a bit. We have a nice little spreadsheet here. I will link that in the description. Shout out to Choice for making it. Okay, so we also have the Agris numbers where you get them, right? It is what it is. Now let's get to the big stuff here. First off, the Essence of Dawn, you're using these to enhance. You can get them by heating yellow grade or pin grade yellow accessories alongside with 1 Dawn of Energy. You buy those from the vendor for 5 million. Or you can get them from grinding in the new Land of Moonlight grind spots. We don't know the drop rates yet. Okay, so let's look at this. Enhancing the Karazads. Depending on the level, you need more of these essence. So higher tier enhancements cost more essence, a bit like manners, which is a really good idea. It means it's easier progression earlier on, and they can also shift some of the cost of enhancing with lower percent chance of upgrading with more cost than the enhancing stones, which you can buy from the marketplace. You can grind them, you can make them, versus just having raw crunch stone costs. And then at deck level, you need 1 Dawn Blackstone, which are only available right now on a time-gated content with the Rift bosses. So again, really good balance here between allowing people to progress, shifting cost over to enhancing mats instead of crunch stones, and also making sure that people are not going to go like full deck on day 1. Also the numbers here. After we cover this, we'll look a bit at the numbers. I'll explain the spreadsheet at the end. But it's good. The Essence of Dawn here is a really, really good and interesting item. I feel they nailed this. A big question we've been getting is like, oh, what happened with this dose? Don't worry, they solved it all with this. This item is the big connector with all the thing here, Karazad. So first off, the upper limit price is 100 million silver. Now this will of course vary depending on the current values, the availability, how things change over time. They might be super low in the beginning because people have a lot of pin accessories. They're gonna make them, heat them into the dawn, maybe sell them, etc. So yeah, we'll see what happens, but the max price is 100 million. Next up is these here, which is the Essence of Dawn, but for the specific stats. These are to make the crystals, the evasion, the accuracy, DR, and all that. And you get these from those specific items. Further down, there's a list. Okay, so let's take a look here. The Essence of Dawn. Basically, you get 10 times as many of these on a pin compared to a TED. So this gives a fixed long-term value of a pin accessory is worth 10x of a TED accessory. Because you can always just buy a pin accessory or TED accessory, make these crystals, and then sell them. So it gives a fixed value proposition between them, which is healthy. And then it also gives a fixed value proposition between the different accessories. So let's take a look at distos. At pin, it's 720, which means they will have at max price a 72 billion silver value, aka they're saved. It also means that currently, right, the price will drive up because a TED disto is like 10 billion silver. But why would you buy 10 TED distos for 100 billion when you could buy one for 50 billion or 70 billion? So the prices are going to equalize around this. And the Ochre ring, it's 30 to 300. So again, this would be like a 30 billion silver value on Ochre rings, which means right now at a 50 billion, this here is insanely good value, which means people will buy those if they need the essence and prices will drive up and they're going to equalize relative to each other. In other words, with this new item that combines all of the value of all accessories in the game, they finally stabilized the real value of all items. We won't have dead items anymore because, well, if that is dead, well, you can just make it into the essence and sell that and make money. At least in the short term, this is going to be great. Depending on availability, supply, demand, in the long term, we'll see. But in the long term, people are still going to be enhancing the Karazads, and you need these essences to make the Karazads and to enhance them up to enough. So absolutely huge. Giga W. Giga W. Also, they didn't forget the Tintina accessories. You can take your Tintina accessories and acquire 100. So this also means if you make your 2 Tintina accessories as a new player, you can then later heat them and get 200 essence, which is enough to make 4 Karazad accessories. So this means like the progression of Karazad, you can start very early. And of course, you don't need full Karazads. You could also choose to go the TED route, which right now is really bad because it's way cheaper making pin Karazads than it's TED Dibos. So again, the entire market is going to shift a bit. All these old items now has a real value, and upgrading them are looking super good. I'm excited to show you guys the numbers at the end of this segment. Next up is all the special crystals. They work similarly. So depending on which accessory you are breaking down for these special dawns, let's look at accuracy dawn, for example. Depending on which accuracy accessory you break down, you get a different number of the accuracy dawn essence. And what do you use these essence for? Well, you use these essence to make the crystals. So there's only one accuracy crystal, but the amount of essence you need, well, you get different amount depending on the items. So the lunar necklace is just cheaper than the dawn. It's easier to get by this. It was down to 5 billion. So they have kept a relative value between these items that are more representative of the actual real value. And then the amount you get depends. So let's look at accuracy. Let's say, how many do you need? We can go down here and we can look at the best versions. There are 3 different versions of them. The stats they give and all, right? Let's say you want to make the best Jin version. So down here, you can see the cost. If I want to make the Jin accuracy crystals, I need 450 of the essence. So we can go up and I can see here, well, 450, that means I can't make one crystal with a pin Taurus, I can't make it with a duo, with a lunar. I would really need 2 pin lunars to make one crystal, and then I'll have 50 left over. Alternative is I could buy 1 pin ominous ring, and I'll still have 150 left over towards my next one. So depending on which one you have here, you can make more of these crystals. For example, me, I have 2 pin Dawns and I have 2 pin Ominous. I'll be able to take all of these and I can make 6 crystals for my full set if I need to. And you might be like, well, what about the leftovers if you have some? Well, fear not, PA thought about that. You can convert these crystals at a 1-to-1 rate to the Essence of Dawn that you can then sell or you can use for your upgrading, etc., etc. So again, it has a direct value correlation between all of the accessories. So if you have left over here or whatever, you can convert them into the Dawns and sell them or use them. But there still is a real value on all the unique accessories like the DR accessories, evasion accessories, and of course accuracy for these crystals. Now let's talk a bit about the crystals. First off is you get 1 crystal slot per Karazad you put on. So every time you equip a Karazad accessory, no matter the enhancement level, you unlock one of these new crystal slots. They do not break on death. I know it's crystals, but you should really view these as your gear presets. The red crystal here. You can make the red crystals. This crystal here gives 4 hidden AP. So this is the set bonus. They changed the set bonus from just being there for free to being a crystal that you get. If you convert a depot, which has a set bonus, you get the best crystals when you do it. Otherwise, you can make it and cost 30 of these shards, the new essence to make it. And then it's, I think it's 15 and 5 to make the lesser versions. But this means that if you are making a PvP build, you don't get the damage for free. If I want to put on accuracy, or if I want to put on a DR crystal, I now have to give up one of my AP crystals for this. So by doing it this way, and having these crystals, you're going to be using full red crystals for your PvE grind. Easy to make, you just do this. But if you want to make a specialized PvP build, you have to give up your depot set bonus for those stats. So you don't get to have both your tankiness and your damage, right? So it's probably going to be way better for balancing. It means like you don't necessarily have as much of these builds that are unkillable and just kill everyone. That's a real trade-off now with this stuff here. So that's good. It's a good way of doing it. You have the stats here of them. This here is cheap, by the way. I know it doesn't show that right here. It is. So the different crystals, they don't change your accessories to just give you these as a set bonus, right? Or as a bonus. We're just going to look at the best versions to Jin. Just 4 hidden AP or -2 sheet AP for 25% BSR. So that means if you go for the 100% BSR, you can get it for -8. You need 4 of these crystals for 100% to get it 200%. This here is -7 sheet AP for 60 accuracy. And this over here, the DR crystals are -25 sheet AP, but you gain 25 sheet DR and then 4 hidden DR and 150 HP. Down here is the evasion crystal, which is -25 sheet AP, so you're gonna lose the brackets, right? Keep this in mind. For 25 sheet DR with 23 hidden evasion and 150 HP. A quick note about the evasion one. All the other ones look perfectly in line with our Karazad tier accuracy accessory or Karazad tier category rings or whatnot. This right here is actually worse than a Centaur belt, but it's better than all the other evasion accessories in terms of trade-off. It's a bit weird with the evasion one, but the Centaur belt seems to be probably overstacked on stat value. So it looks like right now the best evasion PvP build is going to be either using the evasion green evasion offhand, or if you want to run 5 Karazads and a Centaur build. However, if you start running 2, right, then you could go Centaur build with one of these crystals. So it seems this crystal here is pretty much just for the people running full DP. There are also bond and 1 crystals. The way you get these is you can get them from dropping in the new grind spot zones in Land of the Morning Light. There are no usage of Azadel or Tepic as of now. As of now, you cannot turn unused accessories into crystals. I hope they got something planned, or they just completely nuked those accessories even harder into the ground than they already were. They are also combining cups. They don't want you to have multiple sets of these Karazads, they want you to have one. So the way they're doing it with the cups is they're combining them. You're going to be able to use these new Essence of Dawn with the current cups to make a better neck version. For the belts, you get one of each plus the Essence, and you combine them, so now your cup enchant has the 3 AP and the 60R. You no longer have to make a choice, you just get them all. Same with the rings, and the earrings gets a further 100 stamina by upgrading it also. When we get it on Thursday, we're going to get 2 week events following it. There's going to be a tagging event. We're going to get a 2-week tagging event so you can retag your gear, the Karazads and all that. There will also be a cup extraction event. So you can, for 10 million silver, extract your cups on accessories. You don't have to make that 1.5 billion item with Forest Furious, Huge W. Don't worry about it. This item here, 10 million silver, you can extract your cups. And they will also do the cup event. So you can go out and grind. And get these Gem of Imperfect Power, so you can make cups. So now let's take a look at some of the numbers, and this is quite interesting. So I will leave this spreadsheet in the comments as well. It's done by Choice. He was here earlier, we talked about it, we went through some of the numbers together, and we are both very, very, very excited about where they are landing with this. So, first off, in terms of the enhancing materials you need, a lot of the price is on this. I'll try and keep this simple for the big numbers here, and when this becomes really good. So first off, remember they can't explode anymore, they can downgrade, which means you are looking at, first off, really good percentages here. I think the path will definitely be your raw tapping up to at least try. I can definitely see some people raw tapping and making tits. And then starting cronning after that. But look at the numbers here. So a pin Karazad is the same as a Tet Debo. Now let's look at the cost of enhancing this. Pin Debo over here, sorry, pin Karazad. And this is assuming that you're cronning from the beginning, which you won't be doing. Let's take a look at the total numbers. Okay. The average cronstones, cumulative cronstones is 4,600 to make what's the same as a Tet Debo. Now, if you go over here and we look, how much is it to click for Tet Debo? It's 2,400. So the total cronstone cost is around the same as 2 Tet attempts. And that's not even factoring in downgrading. And here you can't downgrade. Now, on top of that, if we're assuming that we don't actually cron until like Tet, we're looking at 2,500, which is 1 attempt. It's 1 attempt. So the total cron numbers are completely in the gutter compared to the Debo progression. And further off, if we continue down the line here, right, this is just community crons, cron price as well. So this right here is a pin. So if you are enhancing a pin Karazad, it's around 14 billion silver in cronstones to make the equivalent of a Tet Debo. And a Tet Debo is, well, that's like 45 billion. Now, this is where it becomes interesting. So also with costumes, of course we have this, but even vendor crons, it's really, really good value. Now let's go down here and see the total cost of these things. So the total cost with failed stacks and the enhancing materials, this is not factoring in memory fragments though. When you're looking at pin, suddenly it's up to a 27.5 billion over the 14 billion in cronstones. So this means, of course, there's a lot of cost in this. It's still way cheaper than a Tet Debo on average. And remember, you're more likely to hit average because the percentages are higher and it also doesn't downgrade. So the chance of you going into these spirals are really low. Also, the Agris numbers are extremely generous. Agris numbers 3, 5, 7, 8, 10. Super generous with the amount of cron cost on this as well. And if you're looking at the probability with the suggested fail stacks, we're looking at 80, 50, 45, 40, and even for the pin, we're looking at a 34, right? So super reasonable numbers. And the total cost is therefore more likely to be reached. On average, there is less. It's less volatile than compared to Dibos, and it's already really good value. So this is good news, but this is where it becomes really interesting. If we look at the cost distribution, so right now, if you are grinding and going for Dibos, and let's say you're enhancing it, be it Dibos, be it Sovereign, Fallen Guard, whatever, right? And you're using Cronstones, realistically 90 to 99% of the value of your enhancement is Cronstone value. It's only a small percentage that's actually your fail stacking, your memory fragments, your enhancing stones and all of that. It's a very, very small percentage. These numbers here, if we're looking at it for making a pin, we can take the price of the crons, which is 13.8, and out of the total cost, which is 27.5. In this case here, it's 50-50. So for going for Ted Dibbo / Pin Karazad, it's 50% value of Cronstones versus 50% value on the enhancing mats and the fail stacks, and it's still way cheaper on average. So they're shifting the cost of upgrades with these items away from Cronstones and more over in-game materials that are not directly tied to pay to win. Exactly what people have been asking for. Now let's look at the higher enhancements. So first off, let's take a look at the Nuff, which is the same as a Pin Dibbo. Quick to note here, Oct is the same, and this is total cost with everything, right? Oct is the same stats as a Pin Dibbo. And for everything, it's around 174 going from base. Keep this in mind, it's going from base to Oct. It's 174 billion on average with everything versus, say, buying a Pin Dibbo for 250 bill, depending on what prices are. Now, you can then convert the Pin Dibbo into a Nuff. So we're looking at the cost of Nuff, right? It's 370 with everything included. But you are going to be making these stats along the way. So you can't always look at the end. Most people that are coming out and going at, like, I'm sitting on a base Karazad, well, you're going to get more stats for your silver all the way up to Oct, and a lot more of those because of every level you upgrade. And then it's only the final level when you get to the Nuff where you could have been better off buying a Pin Dibbo. But it's also ignoring all the stats you're getting along the way, all the progression, the faster grinding, the new grind spots you can unlock quicker. Now let's actually look at the Nuff real quick. So if you go up here, this is also assuming that you're starting from zero, you're using Devours, and you're using Hungers to make your fail stacks, which are very expensive. It's not as factoring in free stacks we get along the way. So if you actually look at the enhancing cost just with vendor Cronstones and the enhancing, then we're actually down to 200 billion silver going from base to Nuff. So the real cost is going to be somewhere in here in between, which means even if you're choosing to enhance, there's a very high probability that it's going to be cheaper or around the same cost as buying a Pin Dibbo. Let's not even talk about enhancing it, right? But buying a Pin Dibbo. And the advantage is, of course, you're making more gains along the way on every level. Now let's look here real quick. What is the distribution? So at going to Pin Karazad, it's around 50-50. Now let's look at the high tiers of this. What is the total cost of making a deck? From base to deck, the total cost, 381 billion out of 573. It's a 33% to a 36%. So right now, I think it's very easy to say, like in these Sovereign, it's like 90 to 99% Cronstone cost, 1 to 10% enhancing cost. Right now with this here on the final most hard level, which of course going to be way more expensive on average, we're looking at a 66% Cronstone value versus a 33% material value. So this is a giant step in the right direction of taking the upgrade cost away from Cronstones. And again, keep in mind at pin, it's 50-50. So all in all, huge W. And looking at all these numbers, the probability, I'm surprised in a positive way. It looks way more reasonable than expected. And I'm also extremely happy that they did not gate up to enough. I can live with gating the deck, so we don't have people being done right away. It's also going to be very expensive, right? So I feel like this is a huge W, legitimately what we've been asking for. The total cost is reasonable, but a lot of the total costs have been moved away from Crunchstones onto in-game grindable materials, also tied directly to old items and accessories to give a long-term value to those. We already knew about the 4 new grind spots, Dokkaebi Forest, Honglim Base, and then later on the Golden Pig Cave and Goblin Plateau. We were hoping but not expecting, again, that the first 2 were in, and they are here. So we're going to be getting the Dokkaebi Forest and Honglim Base, and then later on the remaining 2. About the Golden Pig Cave and the Goblin Plateau, they aren't included. We are also preparing enhanced yellow accessories as reward, so please stay tuned. Obviously, they're not talking about the regular chance of dropping prize and dues when grinding, which already exists. This is clearly in reference to something new, maybe 10 accessories being droppable, maybe some guaranteed versions with the picking where you know you're going to build up this loot pinata and then it's going to explode. So really excited to see what happens here. Next up is a cool thing for the Honglim Base, which is going to be the lower mid tier. It's like 270 AP, I'll cover them in a bit. There's going to be a system in there that allows you to get 200% BSR, so you can actually start using the 200% BSR ability of your class in PvE from time to time and actually get to see it. I'm excited. I wish they would also do it on the high level one. I want to see it. I want to play around with it. And I don't want to lose AP in PvE getting it. So I, for one, think this is awesome. I'm really, really happy. They are bringing some fun into this stuff here. It's such a small thing. It's such a cool ability. So really happy to see them going for these routes here. Now let's take a look at the spots. The Honglim Base here, there are 2 types. We don't know the type it is. It's probably going to be demi-human. It's 270 AP, 360 DP required. All the drops here between the 2 spots are the same. It's all for the new things. We're going to get the Essence of Dawn, the Black Spirit, Accuracy, and all that. So the new enhancing materials and the new crystal materials. You can also drop Bun and Jin crystals for AP, Bun and 1, and Jins and all that for the rest of the crystals here. There's going to be new titles. And you just know that all the Circers and Strikers are already putting their characters out there ready to grind this for the Animal Kingdom title. Literally made for those boys. Next up is the Dokkaebi Forest, which is 310, 420. Also, start putting energy into these nodes already, if you know which one you're going. Here there's going to be a boss spawn. And again, it drops the same stuff, but probably higher rate. Big note about this. In the case of Death by Duke Cine, which is a boss spawn, including his one-shot fatal attack, no separate death penalty, experience point decrease, crystal destruction, etc. is applied. So it seems that they are removing the chance of losing crystals and death penalty dying to bullshit. So if you get hit by that one shot, you just die, right? You lose your buffs and all that, but you don't break crystals on the boss spawn. So that is pretty nice. Of course, I prefer if they just got rid of it altogether. Also new titles for that. Rest of it is just some slight UI improvements, some quality of life fixes, a bit of bug fixes on the classes, and that is pretty much it. Both zones are solo zones, it seems, yes. So guys, let me know what you think. I'm super hyped for this. I think this is a giga W, and everything is also indicating that for Caltheon Ball, December 14, they're going to be prioritizing and focusing on stuff to do, like content to play. So right now, they're going all in on progression content. And then, of course, we need stuff to use it on. We got some new grind spots here. But really, the new content, the new grindable things, maybe the new expansion with the 100-layer dungeon. I'm expecting this stuff to go out and being announced at Calcium Ball to really just make all of this stuff go together, link together. That's like the final piece of the puzzle. This, to me, is a giant piece of the puzzle. We just need the content. I'm expecting that at Calcium Ball, but let me know what you guys think. Is this a W? Are you happy? Is this going the right direction? Or is the game still dead? I'll see you all in the next one.